So, if you've ever played football, chances are you're familiar with this, the standard football team sock, which I guess all of us have worn a gazillion times in our lives. But the thing is that if you look at the pro players, you often see them wearing their socks in a slightly different and more unique way. And in today's video, I'll teach you how to do that, how to do it in the best way, and hopefully just improve your sock game a little bit. So if we look at a lot of pro players, chances are that instead of wearing their regular team socks that I guess most amateur players would wear per default because that's what the team has, you often see them having this sock construction where there's a little, often wide sock popping out at the base. And you see lots of pros wearing that. Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, League One players, it seems a lot of them are doing this. So what's it all about? Why not just wear the regular sock? Well, the thing is that regular team socks admittedly have gotten a lot better over the years, but they're usually made from polyester. And that means that they're not the best, if I'm honest. They're usually pretty smooth and maybe slightly slippery on the bottom. They're not very thick or plush or padded or, in general don't feel very premium. And especially if they're old and slightly worn, they can also feel very loose. And they don't really fit all that well. And that means that inside the boot, you can get a lot of moving around, a lot of slippage that can lead to blisters. Maybe they bunch up under your foot, you get some pressure points, and in general, it just leads to discomfort. And you probably know what I'm talking about, and you probably hate it as much as I do, so nobody wants that. So what can you do? Well, you can do this. So what the pros, and in general people who know about sock hacks, have been doing for years is to wear their own favorite socks, which is what you can see popping out under the red bit here. Whether that is their favorite grip socks or just high quality sports crew socks, that's up to you. But what they've basically done is that they've taken their team socks, their standard team socks, then they've cut the foot off of them right around the ankle to essentially create a sleeve for the calf that can then go over their sock of choice, and of course, the shin pad. And I know a lot of people who have been doing this for years, and a lot of people who are still doing it today, and I've done it myself. Do that, create the sleeve, some sock tape around it, it just works. Except for the one problem that when you cut your foot off your team sock, you kind of create this frayed area. And when you use the socks a lot, you pull them a lot, and maybe you use sock tape where all the adhesives just pull all the little threads. Well, the socks are gonna fall apart in no time. Which means that you might have to go and buy some new ones eventually, and if you have to do that season after season, that becomes a little bit expensive. And it's not the most sustainable thing in the world, is it? But the thing is that the answer has been in front of us for a while. Sleeves. And no, not the sleeves that you kind of make yourself with a pair of scissors, actual sleeves that have been made to be worn with your favorite socks. And just looking at this, I actually realized that I'm totally wearing these backwards, aren't I? But anyways, it started actually out as a niche thing, these sleeves. So you couldn't really get them in that many different colors or variations, but now most brands have clocked onto them and are making them in the most popular team sport colors. So the way you wear these is the same way you would actually wear your regular sleeves that you made yourself. You put on your favorite pair of socks. In my case, that would be grip socks because I like that little extra grip inside the boot to remove some of the slippage going back and forth when I move around. But you can wear whatever you feel the most comfortable in. Then you can take your shin pads, pop them inside the sock if it's like this bladed shin pad. If it's just like a G-Foam Plus, for instance, you just pull it over the sock. But basically you do this to ensure that it stays in place as much as possible. And then you basically just pull, gotta do it the right way. Then you just pull the sleeve up over your foot, slide it in place like you would do normally, and over the knee. There you go. And you're sorted. And because this is actually made to be worn footless, well, they've stitched this area down here so it doesn't fray, it doesn't get ruined, and all of that. And if you want the sock to stay a little bit more in place to keep the shin pad in place as well, you can use sock tape down here, or even better, sock wrap, which is a little bit more elasticated and just a little bit easier in terms of preventing that you block off the blood circulation. Because if you use sock tape and you pull it too tight, you can just shut off a little bit and, your toes go numb and all that. So just be careful if you use sock tape. Just wrap, sleeve, boom, you're good to go. But there are also a gazillion different ways to wear your football socks. With that said, I think the three most common ones are, the regular one where you go below the knee. There's also the really low one, Paulo Dybala, Francesco Totti style, or the one where you pull it all the way up over the knee, which, if you have the aura for it, looks really cool. But if you don't, well, you're gonna look like the biggest tryhard in the universe. And this can go like, that can go really high. So just keep that in mind. Which is the best one, Jay, then? Well, to be fair, I think it's all about personal preference. I really like the classic one where it goes up to just below the knee, which I think personally looks the best. Has a little bit it looks a little cool, and also I like the freedom it gives to the knee. I also know that a lot of people prefer the low style because they don't really like that extra feeling of compression on the top part of the calf, so this will make them feel more free. And I guess the over the knee thing is all about a confidence, swag kind of thing. If it's not, let me know in the comments. I don't really do it. But what about the thing with, cutting holes in your socks? Well, you've probably seen Jude Bellingham and Kyle Walker having more holes in the back of their socks than a Swiss cheese. But why? I mean, to me, I really hate the way it looks, but that is what it is. The thing is that, I don't know about those two guys, but what I hear is that it's mostly a comfort thing. See, football socks are tight these days. They are made with a little bit of compression, also because they're made from polyester to ensure that the socks stay in place, but also to give the compression around the muscles and eliminate as many of the vibrations as possible to make sure that the muscles perform optimally. Now, with the thing that a lot of footballers have really big calves, some of them might find that a little too tight up here, a little bit too restrictive. So by cutting holes in the socks and alleviating a little bit of that pressure, giving a bit more flex, might feel a tad more comfortable. But it is, if we're being honest, it's a comfort thing, at least according to leading physiologists. Physiotherapists, probably. More physiotherapists, yeah. Where they say that cutting holes in your socks, it doesn't have an actual performance benefit other than maybe you feeling better, so you play better and all that jazz. But should you do it? Well, I would say unless you really feel the need. You have gigantic calves you just want relief of here. You are ruining a good pair of sleeves or team socks because, again, cutting holes in them will lead them to fraying, and frayed socks will fall apart easily, and unlike Jude and all the other lads, well, you probably have to buy new socks yourself, so yeah. But one final trick I want to share is that if you're wearing really tight socks or socks that have compression in them, like the Lightguard Protex here, they can be a little bit tricky to get on. And you might be sat there, just like pulling and pulling, and that's just annoying. What you can do instead is actually turn the sock inside out, 80% at least. You need to still have some sort of sock part that you can put your foot into, like a little, cap or whatever. And then you do that, and then you basically just like roll the sock back over your toes, grab the top part of the sock, and then just boom, pull it off. I would not be able to put it on this easily by doing it the normal way. Obviously, if you wear a long team sock with compression, you just go all the way up, and that's it. This is a total sock hack right there. So what I wanted to say with this video, I guess, is that this whole hack with cutting your own socks to make your own sleeve kind of sucks. Anyways, that was kind of terrible. But the thing is that instead of doing that, it's kind of dead. Why not just actually get a sleeve that's made to be worn with your favorite socks? And then, of course, while you're at it, get a good pair of grip socks, because then you have a setup that will last you for years. And instead of having to wear those crappy grip socks, I will guarantee you that you can feel a difference when you go into a match. You will feel better wearing something that you like, in the right size and not that loose stuff. And you know what's even better is you can buy both the sleeves and the socks and the sock tape, everything in the link to Unisport right over there. But of course, don't go and click it before you make sure you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you had a good time, you want to see more. In which case you can click the playlist right down there. And I'm rambling, so I should go. Signing off. Cheerio.